Hi, everyone.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast.
Welcome back.
It's been a little while since we've recorded a podcast. We're recording them every 2 weeks now.
We are.
Feels a bit weird being back in this space, but good.
Yeah, it's a little bit more spaced out while we work on our big project.
Our special project.
Our special project.
That we know is a very good project that we hope all of you will love.
Yes.
We have a really great topic today, and this is one that's really important to my heart, which I think will become evident when I say what it is. We want to talk about women and chronic pain and symptoms, specifically those that are neuroplastic in nature. Yes.
Yeah, and I think we, in the research, really understand that women have higher rates of chronic pain.
Yes.
They have higher rates of disability or lack of function. And to be honest, what it's shown, I was reading a bit before this, is just that most conditions, chronic conditions, women experience more of.
Yes.
So this is a real thing. And I even think about our therapy clients. I would say it's probably 75% of my caseload is made up of women.
And there could be reasons for that. Like, I think women maybe naturally access therapy more. Like, there's some of those reasons too. But you're right. Most of my caseload is made up of women. And men, you're valuable in this discussion as well.
Yes.
I want to, Tanner's nodding and smiling. I want to say that. But that's right. We have a lot of women clients. And there's something unique about being women with chronic pain and symptoms. I wanted to talk about this because I'm very passionate about it, because I think we need to spend time there and we need to highlight it. I have a list that I'm pulling up on my phone here. Give me a minute. And it talks about themes that I hear from women a lot. So I want to read out that list. And I think it's important that we talk about it. 1, my needs are put last. I don't have time for myself. I need to do everything for everyone. There's no time for me. I can't be too much. I don't know if you hear that one a lot, Tanner, but that is a common thing I hear from women.
Yeah.
I can't share my voice.
Yeah.
I shouldn't do that, or I should do that.
Yeah.
Is that something you hear a lot?
Yes, absolutely.
There's a couple more I want to throw out there. I need to be good at parenting, work, social life. I need to be good at it all. And negative self-talk followed by guilt. Yeah. And I know if you're a woman listening to this, I want you to see if any of this resonates with you. And I'm sure something on that list probably does.
Well, it's a really well-written list of just like the different messaging that, so many of the women I work with are experiencing. And as we know around chronic pain, chronic symptoms, like many forms of chronic pain and symptoms are neuroplastic.
Yes. And
what this means is your brain and nervous system is producing the sensations, even though your body is actually completely okay.
Right.
And fundamental, what came to mind as you were reading that list that relates to why neuroplastic pain occurs is that there's a lack of a sense of safety. There's a lack of a sense of safety overall.
Well, and we talk about that a lot, and I think we see this with all our clients, whether they're young, old, men, or women, this lack of a sense of safety. There's something, I want to say, unique for women with that lack of sense of safety, and we can talk about maybe society, culture, not feeling valued or heard just in our life and with our peers, right? And so there's that piece too, but we need to take that into account of that lack of sense of safety for women that they can feel really deep in their bodies.
Yeah, it comes down to these like social expectations.
Yeah.
That are unique for women and the expectations that are placed upon them. And how, not just the expectations placed upon them, but as you were kind of reading that, how they're expected to behave.
Yes.
Which is, always heartbreaking when I'm hearing that from people, right? Like a really common way neuroplastic pain occurs is there's a lack of feeling. There's a lack of expression of feelings. And that's such a message that you were kind of reading out there that women experience, right? Of like, oh, don't express your feelings. You're too much.
Yeah.
Stay quiet. Don't get angry.
That idea of like, oh, I'm too much. I've heard that multiple times from different women. So it's definitely a thing of like, I don't want to be too much. People are saying I'm too much. I'm scared to be too much. Is this kind of underlying theme, even if people aren't putting that together?
Yeah.
I think. And it is this idea that women, I think, have experienced in society of like, oh, this woman is, angry or enraged or talking about her needs. She's too much. I think about women in the medical system and they're accessing support. There's often this veil, like, and not all the time, but through history of like, oh, this woman is just, it's hysteria. She's too much. And this has been in our culture for such a long time. Yeah. And I think even if cognitively we believe, our world is safe and we have, a safe family unit and a safe partner, and there's still this internal belief that I think women have of like, oh, but I can't be too much. Mm-hmm. Even though I'm getting permission, I still have to be careful of that.
Yeah, it's this unfortunate cultural narrative that has just seeped in to men as well, in the sense of like,
fair. Let's give this nod to
no, but what I mean is like that cultural narrative of like, the woman's thinking, oh, don't be too much. Mm-hmm. Like, I think about men, and again, I know there's gender can be fluid here, but when we talk about men, there is also like an expectation, especially in like a heterosexual relationship, of like, my partner needs to behave this way. She needs to do this. If she doesn't do that, that's not acceptable. And
what's it like saying that, Tanner? Because I feel like this is a bit of a vulnerable statement.
Yeah, right, like now. I think it's, and I think, there's so many men out there that are very caring and supportive, but the reality is like that narrative like has seeped into them for so long that, even I've experienced it. I feel like I'm pretty progressive in the sense of like understanding, our relationship needs to be balanced. It needs to be fair. There needs to be the same expectations placed on one another. But there have been many times in our relationship where all of a sudden in my mind, I'm angry because you're not behaving a certain way. Do you get the thing? Like, it, like logically, if I paused for a second, I could logically be like, that is ridiculous.
Well,
You're
what
being
do you
ridiculous,
think of that, Tanner? Because and I'm so glad you said that, because that can put you in a bit of a vulnerable position. So we need to like applaud Tanner there. Good for you, right? Yeah. Because it can be hard to acknowledge that, we can still fall into this, even though we're educated and we have all the information and, we support everyone's rights and stuff like that, that this can still happen.
Yes. Yeah, I think it's tough, and people can work through it. Mm-hmm. We can as a society hopefully improve this, but I think it's just been such a standard of this is how women should behave for so long that even if people can stop and be like, okay, that standard's ridiculous, like that's not fair, it's like we just unconsciously behave in that way. Mm-hmm. And it's hard. It's hard to pull away from that. And I want to loop back to the thing that you said that I think is so important, of just around like medical treatments.
Yeah. Why do you think we should highlight that? Because I agree.
Well, it kind of comes down to this understanding of like, yes, women experience more chronic pain and symptoms. We know that. Mm-hmm. We also know women experience double or more than double in terms of trauma.
Yes.
That's just the reality. And we also know that trauma and chronic symptoms are just unfortunately best friends.
Yes.
And so
why maybe we should say, I know a lot of our listeners know, but maybe explain a little bit why they're best friends.
Well, as we understand, many forms of chronic pain are neuroplastic. Mm-hmm. And they're occurring because your nervous system is stuck basically in danger mode, in dysregulation. And trauma can be such a dysregulating factor, even if it happened 20 years ago.
Yes.
It keeps us in fight, flight, fawn, freeze, shutdown. And so because of that, and because of the danger that trauma can cause us to live in years later, it makes people much more likely to develop chronic pain and symptoms.
Yes.
And so that's the connection. And the unfortunate truth is women experience more trauma. So as a result, in my opinion, they're experiencing more chronic pain and symptoms. But the reason I was talking about like the medical experiences is I have heard stories of women that I work with sharing how they have been treated by medical providers in this day and age, and it is awful. And
what's it like to hear that as a therapist, Tanner?
I think
and interestingly, as a male therapist as well.
Yeah, it's such a difficult thing because I think the reality is it does occur. And again, I'm not saying this as like, oh, men aren't being mistreated too, because I've worked with men where they do have medical trauma from stigma or treatments or different things. But historically, women have been treated worse in the medical system. And that's painful because I know you and I were so thoughtful and understanding when we're working with someone. I'm often thinking about how I'm interacting with that person, how what I'm saying or my facial expressions is affecting that person. But unfortunately, lots of medical providers don't think about it in that way. And so then you get this medical trauma or medical overwhelming events taking place. And that is going to increase chronic pain and symptoms, in my opinion.
Well, definitely. And it's this common theme of feeling dismissed by providers. And I think both men and women share that with us. But women talk a lot about that, of feeling dismissed, feeling not heard, kind of being chucked up to like just a woman thing. And so it doesn't need as much attention. We know historically in research as well, there's way less research around women's mental health. So that's women's health in general, mental and physical health. And so that's a big piece of the pie as well. But yeah, often when clients get to us, women too, they feel dismissed. They feel unheard. There's this long line of medical trauma or not feeling heard or not feeling respected.
Yeah.
And a lot of the work I'm doing with clients is kind of unpacking that. And so processing that piece, giving voice to that. And I think about that list I read of all these beliefs that women I meet with carry, and it's often this kind of voice that's been silenced. And so a lot of the work I'm doing with women is allowing them to have this voice validating their experience when often they don't feel validated in so many areas, or they're also dismissing their experience as well.
Yeah. Well, I think you hit on such an important piece of part of the solution to neuroplastic pain and symptoms. And this goes back to some of the work of Dr. John Sarno and some of the work of Dr. Howard Schubiner.
Yes.
Two people I have deep respect for. And a big part of what they would get people to do is find their voice, and that may start with journaling, but also expressing, right? Like expressing outwardly in a more unfiltered way how you actually feel about something.
Which can be really scary for a lot of people.
Absolutely. But I think that's such an important piece because, all this messaging of, just be quiet, just be good, don't say anything. That will keep us in chronic pain and symptoms. And the research shows if you can feel more deeply, express more fully, that pain sensitivity goes down.
Yeah. Yep. Explaining that to people is important. And so I hope if you're listening to this podcast, we're explaining that a little bit of why it's important to do that. But starting small with starting to kind of honor your needs, validate, share your voice, kind of shift that narrative is important because there's exposure to all of that. It's really uncomfortable.
Oh, yes.
It doesn't feel easy. And then there's a piece of us that again, this idea of, well, I shouldn't be this way. So it's changing beliefs a bit, which is tricky.
Yeah. I think you hit on so many important pieces. It's more than just the feeling and expressing of emotion. It's honoring your values and needs. It's learning to set boundaries, learning to say no. Like it's starting to live differently, starting to live in a way that feels more authentic to that individual.
Yeah. Well, and we know in treating chronic pain and symptoms that are neuroplastic, honoring and tapping into your authentic self is such a big piece of it. I think I talk about that with many people that I work with.
Yeah. No, I do think it's important. And it's so difficult because as you're talking about the social expectations that are placed on women, and it's scary, right? Like I'm just thinking of people I've asked that to do that. And that's uncomfortable.
What was
because
their reaction? Do you remember some of that?
Oh,
Tanner?
it's they're terrified because they're going against how they've been told to behave for so long. So I'm always careful when I'm telling people this because and talking to women about this because we're asking people to go in the opposite direction of a cultural norm, which the rest of the people in that culture aren't going to like very much at first as you do that.
Can you describe what that looks like maybe for women in the family system when they're trying to shift maybe that go against that norm and what that looks like as a family?
Yeah, I'll think of an example here, a simple one. Things that we've actually talked about in our relationship quite a bit.
We can also talk about that too.
You always love that. I think one thing that I'll notice is that many of the women that I work with, they are working full time, like their partner, but then they're expected to come home. And again, this is for a heterosexual relationship, but the male does significantly less at home, their husband, and they do significantly more. Right is the standard thing that we've known is unfair for so long. They're doing just as much work at work, and it's like at home they're doing way more.
Yeah, and one thing I want to highlight here, this might not be true for all families, but I think I want to validate both sides of the partnership because I don't think always it's a conscious thing of like, oh, my wife's going to do it all. And like people are trying to work together, but naturally someone takes more of the role. And I don't know, for you guys listening, it's very common now on social media to talk about like the experience of the primary caregiver and really start to highlight what that's like for the person. And so there's a lot of discourse about this going on. Yeah. But that's right. Often the woman is working as well and doing more of the childcare. So their load is super high.
Yeah, like there's so much pressure. And so an exposure to starting to shift that, shift the behaviors of how the family system is working at home is like talking to their husband and setting up this situation where it can be even or at least closer to even of like, hey, how do we break up breaks? Like breaks from household tasks and breaks from kids if you have kids where we're each getting somewhat equal time to hang out, do the things that we love, do our hobbies.
How has this felt for you, Tanner, in our negotiations around this? Because we've spent years trying to discuss this openly, figure out something that works for us. And it's been challenging. Yeah,
we're always trying to, of course, we're both therapists, so we're communicating a lot, maybe a little too much sometimes. But
we're therapizing ourselves as we're doing it. It's not always good.
Therapizing each other. Well, I think over the years, we've gotten closer to perfecting this for us, without a doubt. Yeah. But it took me realizing that some of my emotions around you asking for a need to be met were not fair.
Okay.
I'm not saying this in a way of I need to invalidate my emotions. It's like, okay, like I'm feeling angry that Anne's asking for a break this Tuesday. But it's allowing myself to feel that, but then also step out of that and be like, okay, like let's break down. Okay, what are the roles and responsibilities we're both doing this week? Oh yeah, Anne is working with, 4 more clients this week than normal. Yeah, I think we do need to like shift this up. So it's interesting because it takes a difference of like feeling, but then also logically coming to understand, hey, like this is an equal partnership. It's just really difficult because, as women do this, it's exposure for them asking for what they need,
Yeah.
but it's also exposure to their partner.
Yes.
Because they need to adjust to, this is the new norm. This like underlying cultural narrative is not fair that I've been following. And to give men credit in the relationship, I think sometimes it's a very unconscious.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
this is what my parents did. This is what we're doing, right? But I do think, in the relationship, there needs to be thoughtfulness. There needs to be talking this through and figuring out, hey, how can we lower the pressure in both of our lives and make breaks? So that's an exposure activity of like, you're giving exposure to asking what you need, to getting the time you want so you can do things that you value outside of all the household pressures.
For sure. And we know this pressure and intensity is a big piece that can keep chronic pain and symptoms rolling. And that's what I hear a lot from women, of feeling this pressure, feeling on edge all the time, on alert, always doing everything all the time, like this chronic stress. And so this example that we just shared, I think you're right. It's about maybe both parties in the household and relationship trying to relieve the pressure and acknowledging that that's there. Something I talk with women a lot about too is the guilt around asking. So that's another piece of it. Of often I'm working with clients and there's this realization, yes, I need to honor my needs. I want to validate it. I need to ask for help. I need to make time for me. But there's often this guilt, and that's back to this idea of I shouldn't do that. And that can be a big block often and very difficult.
Yeah, it's like the guilt, and sometimes even goes darker into shame.
Yes.
That prevents this. And this stuff is so difficult because, as you're explaining, in this example, women are feeling so much pressure and so much chronic stress.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, is there some solutions to this? Sure. Are they neat and tidy? No, probably not. But there are solutions. There are things they can do. But those things also create stress at the beginning. Like making changes in the way that you're living life, setting boundaries with people, starting to express how you actually feel. Like those are scary things for anyone to do. And I think uniquely to women, obviously, when they've been told to not express or not be too much, then it's even scarier.
Yeah. And so a first starting place is starting to, think about this podcast. If you're listening, do you relate to some of the stuff that we're talking about? Do you relate to kind of not feeling heard or having a voice? Maybe some of the thinking of I shouldn't be, I'm too much. How much of that resonates with you? And then understanding, does this connect to my chronic pain and symptoms? Does this connect to me being always in this kind of fight or flight nervous system state? Or for some women, I think this very shut down state of like just feeling really low, a big fatigue going on as well. And so having a reflection on how much of this is connected.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the starting place. Is just we're hoping this podcast brings awareness.
Yeah.
To what are, in our approach, we call them sensitization factors, right? These are factors. Basically, you think about them like danger factors. They're factors that increase a sense of danger that will sensitize your brain and nervous system, producing chronic symptoms long term. It's like there's all these different sensitization factors that are taking place. And we talked about a lot of them today. We talked about the sensitization factors of social expectations. The sensitization factors of lack of self-expression, of trauma, medical trauma, and these different things. And it's so important for people to have an awareness as they're going through using a brain-based approach to healing their chronic symptoms of what are the sensitization factors, because that's going to help direct, okay, what healing work do I need to be doing then?
Yeah, for sure. I want to just kind of step back for 1 minute because before we end our podcast, Tanner, I think we need to do a nod to women that experience endometriosis and conditions like that, because we didn't really speak about that. But I think it's important to mention that in a podcast like this, and how often women don't feel heard with that kind of condition and experience as well.
Yep.
And so because there needs to be validation to that experience, and there often is not. So I just wanted to put that in there because we didn't mention it, of how important validation around that type of experience and condition is needed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I hope everyone found this podcast episode helpful.
We kind of made it a bit more of a discussion, but an awareness, but we think it's really important and something to think about.
Yeah. Well, thank you everyone for listening.
Thank you for listening.
And we'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you next time.